So a couple of weeks ago, I did my initial review on the new M3 iMac. It had been quite a while since I'd last used an iMac. In fact, I've only owned one previous model, which was the 2009 iMac, so I wasn't quite sure if I would like this new version. But seeing the footage of the Apple event and the preliminary impressive results of the M3 chip got me super curious to see what I could get out of this thing. Now, I've had some more time to play around with it, and I gotta say, so far, I really like it. The performance has been great, but it's the aesthetics of this machine that really gets me going. So much so that I decided to give it a dedicated spot in the studio, so I thought, why not film a little desk tour? Let's ramble.
Hold up. Go wild when I pull up. They all on me like it wants.
Hey, what is up guys? It's great to see you all again, and if you're new here, I'm Patrick and this is where I ramble about tech and other stuff. So yeah, like I said earlier, it is the clean aesthetics of the M3 iMac that appeal to me more than anything. It is just such a good looking device. It doesn't matter from what angle you look at it, it just looks so sleek. So for this desk setup, I wanted to keep that same aesthetic, keep it as minimal as possible while still being functional. Now, for context, I've set up my iMac right next to what I call my battle station. This is my main desk setup. It is where I do most of my client work and all of my editing. It's where I do my video calls, you name it. And it shows. I mean, most people would probably still describe it as a tidy desk, but with all the peripherals and accessories I use, it is definitely not the cleanest or the most minimal setup. Now, the way this area is set up is that I basically push together two desks to be used in an L-shaped setup, and that means that I had this large space on the desk, on the L part if you will, that wasn't really designated as anything. It was just extra space where I just kept stuff that I didn't really know what to do with or where to put at that moment. Not a great use of space, of course, so I decided to turn that part into my designated iMac desk for two main reasons. One, I like the idea of having a dedicated space to do my further reviews on this machine, and two, it is a nice break away from my main desk setup, which is functional, but it can become a bit overwhelming at times. So when I want to write a script or do some really focused work, instead of clearing my main desk every single time, I can just scoot over to this side and enjoy the more minimal look and feel, which really helps me focus. With that said, there were a few items on that desk before the iMac came that I just needed to stay on there. So I tried to incorporate them into the setup as good as possible. The one thing I really wanted to keep there is this Nexode 300 watt charger by Ugreen, which is probably one of my favorite desk chargers to date. This thing is an absolute beast, and with that 300 watt charges literally all of my stuff without breaking a sweat. It has a 140 watt single output as well, so it could even charge my MacBook Pro and a bunch of other devices like another laptop, phones, iPads, you name it. It follows the Power Delivery 3.1 protocol, so not only does it charge all of my devices, it charges them super fast. For example, it can charge my MacBook Pro from 0 to over 50% in just 30 minutes. There's already so much stuff on our desks, the last thing I need is a bunch of different chargers, so this thing is an absolute desk favorite of mine, and as it turns out, it looks pretty sharp in this setup. And because it's a GAN charger, they were able to keep this nice and compact. 10 out of 10 in my book. The other thing that really had to stay there is my Alexa Show, but I will get to that in a second. So after clearing this desk, I replaced the Grove made desk mat that I had there with this much larger one by a brand I found on Amazon. It's a German brand, so I'm not sure if it's available in all Amazon stores, but I'll put links to that and everything else you see in this video in the description down below, so you can check if it's available in your region and what the best prices are. Anyway, it's not that I don't like the Grove made mats, I do, but I wanted to try one that's large enough to hold all of my stuff, but Grove made is quite expensive, so I thought I'd try out something else, and so far I'm quite happy with my purchase. So happy that I bought one for my main desk as well. On top of that, I put this beautiful white desk shelf, which in fact is by Grove made. I've had this sitting in my studio for quite a while, but never really found a use for it, especially since most of my stuff is darker wood and walnut colors, but for this iMac, it actually feels like the perfect match. I love how the white of the shelf comes back in the screen of the iMac. When I ordered the iMac, the only combination available was the one with the keyboard and the magic mouse. I would have liked the color match trackpad, but that wasn't available at the time. Now, I'm a trackpad and mouse kind of guy. I like using both, trackpad on the left, mouse on the right. I feel like that's the perfect combo and the way I work most efficiently. The problem is that I hate the Magic Mouse. And no, I don't dislike it, I hate it. The design is not ergonomic at all, it hurts my hand to use it, the right click is not a right click at all, swiping feels weird, and don't even get me started on the position of the charging port. So I replaced the mouse with my favorite mouse of all time, the Logitech MX Master 3S for Mac. I've been using the MX Master mice for years now. They're hands down the best mice on the market today, especially if you're into video editing. I mean, once you get used to that side scroll wheel, there's just no turning back. Now, usually I would pair this with the Logitech MX keys, like I have on my main desk. But I decided to leave the Magic Keyboard in place because it pairs so nicely with the iMac, and I love the typing experience on a Magic Keyboard anyway. I only keep very few items inside the desk shelf. I keep 2 cables, one USB-C cable and a lightning cable, because unfortunately the peripherals that come with the M3 iMac still have lightning ports. The only other item there is my favorite 3-in-1 travel charger by Kushu. If you're a channel regular, you've probably seen this more than once. I just love this thing, and this silver version looks really great with the setup. I didn't want a permanent charger on this desk, and this one folds down super small and slides right into the shelf. For the same reason, I didn't want big speakers on the desk. Now, you might be thinking, if you want to keep it so minimal, why not just use the speakers inside the iMac? But even though they got a lot better over the years, they still sound a bit tinny, and how perfect are these yellow HomePod minis with this yellow iMac? I mean, come on. They sound great for the size, they look great, and I can even ask Siri a quick question, you know, if I have to be reminded why I actually prefer using Google or Alexa. Speaking of Alexa, I do keep this Echo Show on the shelf. It is the second item I needed to keep on this desk because this is where I check who's at the door of my studio. There's a lot of deliveries made here, and it's nice to keep track of things. I use Ring products like the Ring doorbell, and Alexa devices are best suited to display those. Nice little bonus is that it actually notifies me of my Amazon deliveries or if I run out of toner in my printer. I don't really use it for much else since Google still runs most of the office here. Next to that, I keep this Ugreen RevoDock Pro 12-in-1 docking station, which quite frankly is complete overkill for this desk. This thing is capable of driving 3 monitors, up to 8K 30Hz or 4K 60Hz, has a built-in GAN charger, and a ton of ports on the back, including Ethernet. But I happen to have it available in the studio, and it turns out to be a great way to extend my ports on the iMac. As you know, it only has 2 Thunderbolt ports and 2 USB-C ports, so it's nice to have a few extra USB ports, and more importantly for me, an SD card and a micro SD card reader. It's nice and small, but it's heavy enough that it doesn't move when I plug in a cable or an SD card. What's left is this Grove-made pen and a walnut pen holder because I'm a fancy boy, and this Post-it dispenser because, let's be honest, Post-its are life. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this little desk tour. If you did, please give it one of these. It really does help the channel. Subscribe for more content. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for some links to videos you might also want to watch.